Let me first discuss what all things are required for watercolor. Okay, so as a beginner, we should be knowing what paper we use, what color we use, and what brushes we use. So watercolor paper we have to choose for watercolor. Okay, so we need to have watercolor paper. Okay, now while selecting watercolor paper, we should keep three things in our mind. First thing is, it should be 100% cotton. Second thing, it should be of 300 gsm or more. Okay, and third thing, it should be cold pressed. I always keep these three things in my mind while selecting the watercolor paper. Of course, now what is 100% cotton? It means that the paper the paper which we are using has been made of 100% cotton. Okay, in market there are two type of paper available, 25% and 100%. So 25% cotton paper is also okay for beginners, but because in my kind of flower I use lots of water, so that's why I use 100% cotton. Secondly, again, this GSM defines the thickness of your paper. Okay, the normal drawing sheet is like whatever drawing book we have been using in our school days, that are made up of 165 GSM. Okay, but we need little thicker paper. Of course, we can again use those papers uh, of normal drawing copy also, normal cartridge sheet also, but I prefer 300 GSM or more, because again the reason is same. I use lots of paper, lots of water. So then it should be cold pressed. Cold pressed. There are three type of molding papers. One is hot pressed, one is cold pressed, and last is rough. Okay, so hot pressed are it is having very smooth surface. Normally those who deal with the realistic kind of painting, they use hot pressed. Then secondly, if the paper is having rough, little bit of texture, then that is cold pressed. And if the paper is having more texture on it, then that is rough. Okay, so I prefer this cold. Most of the artists use cold pressed paper. Fine. Now, which brand paper you should use? You can go for any brand if it is fulfilling these criterias. Okay. In India, normal Chitrapat papers are very famous. Okay, you can use Chitrapat paper also, but there you have to take care of two things. Chitrapat paper doesn't come in these three categories. First of all, it comes either in rough or in matte. So, in the case of Chitrapat, you should go for rough. Okay, first thing. And secondly, the GSM which is available with Chitrapat are 270 and 440. So 270 I don't use, because because what I have seen, that when you use more water, then small pulp kind of things start coming out of it. That's why I don't go for 270 GSM, I go for 440 GSM in the case of Chitrapat. But for other brand like Fabriano, then for Baohong, then Lana Aquarello, and then Arch. These are the papers which I use normally, and I use Chitrapat also. Today, this is my Chitrapat paper. Okay, I'm using the back side of that paper. So this is about the watercolor paper. Second thing is about watercolor. So you should always go for artist grade. Okay, don't ever go for student grade colors, because when you will go to buy colors, then you will see that there are artist grade and uh, there are artist grade and there are student grade. So don't ever go for artist grade paper. So I don't ever go for the student grade watercolor. Always go for artist grade because of the pigment quality of it. Normally in India, camel is widely used and it is pocket friendly also. So I will suggest for the beginners, you can use camel artist watercolor, but I will suggest you to buy few colors like, I mean, other than basic colors, basic 12 set of colors, you should go for rose madder. This is one beautiful color. Secondly, Indian yellow. Okay, and Payne's gray. Then rose madder, Indian yellow, Payne's gray. I use these are the colors which I am telling from you to buy from Camel. You can buy from Mission other brands also. I'll tell you about the good brands after this. Payne's gray, then this, what do you call it? Olive green. Okay, so these are the few colors which you should buy extra. Fine. In my palette, I don't use camel much. Okay, I use Payne's gray of camel. I use olive green of camel. I use these four colors of camel. That is fine. But otherwise, my main palette consists mission gold colors. This is very nice, bright, nice brand. The pigments are very bright. I use Dennis Smith. I use Sinalia. I don't know what the spelling, I think. Sinalia, and last I use Aquatone. These are the four brands which I use, and the I will say the pigment of these two are very nice. And this Daniel Smith and Sinalia, you will find real good shades of colors. Like I use rose madder from Sinalia. So normally I mean, for the bright colors I go for mission gold because the pigment of mission golds are very high. Like I prefer 2-3 colors of mission gold. That is, one is vermilion, second one is deep red, and third one is Algerian crimson. These are the few colors which I use from mission gold. Okay, then like I use many colors, but then yes, lavender is again one nice color from the mission gold. Okay, aquatone also, like aquatone ka I like this neutral gray. Then they use Hansa yellow. Then they use this midnight blue. Then they are launching two very nice color gray colors. Okay, they are launching it now. I like those colors as well. Then so these are the colors. Okay, so other than basic colors, you should go for one more color, that is permanent orange. You can go for mission gold, permanent orange, and then basic 12 colors are there. So these are enough. So initially I will suggest you not to go for too many colors. You use 12 basic colors, and along with those basic colors, buy these four with one orange also. Okay, 5 extra colors along with those 12 basic colors. That's it. And then lastly we will discuss about brushes, right? So in watercolor, normally one should use animal hair, natural hair brushes. So the best natural hair brushes are these calligraphy brushes. Okay, these are very good. I'll just show you. I've got very good set of calligraphy brushes. This is from, I bought it from Rap and Woof. I bought it from Rap and Woof. You can purchase it from there with the discount code PK10. This is my discount code. You will get 10% discount of it. Then, or you can use this type of brushes also, squirrel hair brushes. If you want to buy, you can contact me. I will give you the number of vendor who, from where I have bought it. Then, like, you need to have one or two flat brushes to give washes. Okay, so the flat brushes could be of anything. These are the synthetic brush, that is also fine. This is your squirrel hair brushes, this is also fine. Or this is your hake brush, this is also fine. So any flat brush will do. Okay, and then the most important brush are these. Most important brushes are these are your if you see, these are angular brush. So I have these three brushes, but normally initially I will suggest you to buy this one, right? This is from the brand Princeton. Okay, angular brush, this Princeton Velvet Touch. So these brushes will come with inches. Okay, this one is 1/4 inches, which a beginner should use. Then after that you can use 3/8 inches. So normally mostly I use these two brushes, and then for the background I use half inches brush also. But as a beginner, if you will buy only 1/4 inches, that will be enough, or maximum you should buy these two, not more than that. Okay. So this was about the brushes. And yes, you should always keep at least one or two synthetic brush also, because sometimes we need to define things. So what happened, why do we use these brushes, and what is the difference between these animal hair and synthetic brush are? These animal hair brushes carries lots of water, and watercolor is all about playing with colored waters. That's why we use these animal hair brushes. And sometimes we need to define things, where we need to minutely we need to define few things like this. Whenever we have to define few things, then we use these synthetic brushes. So this is all about brushes. And then other than these three things, we need to have some tissue paper with this one. This sprinkler, water sprinkler, this is just to wet my paper whenever it is needed. Whenever your paper will get dry, you use it. Okay, so this is for that purpose, and that's it. And if I'll show you my watercolor palette, normally I use airtight palette like this, where I've poured colors from my tube and just store it like this. Okay. Okay, let's discuss about now the shape of a basic rose. Okay, so you must have seen many number of times that as a beginner, whenever you must have seen anyone is making a rose, they give a shape of round shape. They give round shape to your flower, right? So, but you may have seen many number of times, like if you have observed rose in your life ever, then you must have seen that it is having many petals, like which is full of this shape, which is having corner in it, right? So if I will show you some image, okay, if suppose this is your rose, right? So you see this is not exactly round, it is having so many petals like this, so many petals like this here, right? So basically, if I will make any flower randomly, so I will not give a round shape to it. What I will do, I will simply give some shape which is having corners in it. So I will choose a shape like a pentagon or hexagon, that kind of shape for my flower. So normally whenever you have to make any rose, so you should choose this type of shape which is having few corners in it. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. So this is pentagon, so you can use You can choose a shape which is having more number of corners also. So you can select that type of shape instead of a circle. First thing. Secondly, if you see here, if you see this one, so what you can see many this round type of shape, right? This round type of spiral kind of mark. If you will simply half close your eyes and if you will look at this one, so you will see many spiral kind of mm, uh, mark, right? So if you make any flower, so what we do, so these spirals I call them C shape. Okay, so what I do, I call them C shape, like this type of this type of, okay, or from all the direction. So it should be thin from both the end and it should be thick in between. So how does a rose looks like? So okay, so it should have many C kind of shape to show the spiral bonding of its petals. Okay, so before making C shapes we need to follow few more things, like this is also a object, right? A still life you can say, or object you can say. So whenever we make any object we have to see the volume. That means we have to select some source of light for it. So here also, whenever you make any flower, you should first select the source of light. Okay, what will you select? Source of light. Fine, source of light. So here suppose maybe I may choose, okay, this is my source of light. So now according to the source of light, first of all you have to give some volume to it by giving some value. So this part of my rose will be lighter and this part of my rose will be dark, so I must give some value here towards the darker area. Okay, so I'm actually giving volume to my flower. I'm just explaining you, when you will do the same thing with watercolor, it will look better. Now if you see here, if you see my reference picture, so what you can see that this row, if you will half close your eyes, so if you see center is even more darker, right? So because the petals over here are more closely bonded with each other, that's why here it is more dark. Right, but again you see that here also it has some corners. Okay, this is not exactly round, so that's why I just gave a dark mark like this. And then here in between little bit lighter area is there, and then this part will be even more dark because of the roundity of this object. Okay, and then what we have to do, then we have to give uh, some C mark to it. Like I'll just show you how to do that. Let me sharpen my pencil first of all, because I need to make a C mark which should be pointed from both the ends. Okay, so this is, so first of all in center you have to give this is not exactly point, this is this type of shape, square kind of shape. Okay, and then around it you need to give the C marks. You have to keep on giving spiral kind of thing, and it should be, the only thing is that it should be like this is center and this is my first circle, second circle, these are the concentric circles, right? So all the C marks should be on this, like one C mark should be here or here, then here. So this should look like as if this is my center of all these C's, and these are the arc of those C's. ठीक है, ये ऐसे होना चाहिए. It should not be like this. It should not be like this. It should be like this. That means as we are going outward, the radius of these circles should increase. Okay, and then here towards the lighter area, I start with towards the lighter area. I'll leave some part here, I'll leave some portion. So this is the kind of mark we have to give with the brush. Okay, so now we will see the same thing with the help of brush. So here I am using this paper. Okay, so I am using this round brush. This is synthetic brush, normal brush. Okay, so first of all I will give some shape. I have made a pentagon. Okay, now what I have to do, I am taking some color. First of all, what I am doing, I am taking this red color. I am using this red color. Okay, and then like before applying this red color, or you can say you can just make it very watery color and simply fill it here. I fill this red color. Now I am taking some more red. Okay, I am increasing the pigment of it. Initially I have used very watery color. Now I have increased the pigment. I have made a milky consistency. Now I'll start giving the volume to it. So for the volume, see, I'm simply dragging it. Okay, I'm not mixing the color. I'm simply dragging it and giving some dark value here, this side, and consider that this is my source of light. Okay, clean it. What you can do, just take out excess amount of water like this, and little bit you can just drag like this. Otherwise this is also not necessary. Automatically, because the paper is wet, automatically it will happen. Okay, now I'm taking some more color here and I'm giving it in the center, because my center should be more dark, right? And again I'm taking this color and I am leaving some part and giving this area, even making this more dark. I'm taking some more pigment, because this area is wet, so every time I will use my brush in this area, it will become more dark. Now I will be using a thin round brush. This is a thin round brush. This is also a synthetic brush which I am using right now. Okay, and then I will take this color. Let me just wipe out all these watery color from here. And then I'm taking the same color, red color, and I want to make it little bit dark, so I will be adding bit of Algerian crimson to it, so that this color will become little dark. Okay, this is my Algerian crimson. I'm adding it, so this will become little dark. Okay, so I'll start here. I'm just giving one center first, and then C mark. C mark, how the C mark will be? The C mark will be like this, right? Okay, or you can say just start with the point, apply pressure, and then again reduce pressure. Line pressure and then again reduce pressure like this. Okay, so I'm doing the same thing, line, pressure, and then circle, pressure, and then again circle. So in the center there are like petals are more closely bound, so it should be like more number of C marks should be there. Okay, then use it to start from here, apply pressure, and then lift it. For this outer side, I can use even thicker, more thick brush, so that I can have big C strokes. Applying it center. Let me use little bit thick brush for this purpose. Okay, so I'm using this one. So even if you see here, my color which I have applied, this is still wet, right? So it is actually little bit, it will keep on smudging with the background. Okay, because I'm doing wet on wet. And in this lighter area, I can make one. That's it. Not much. Fine. Now what will I do? Now I'll make this color more dark. So I'll add more azure crimson. And I will add little bit of black. I just need to have more dark color. So I need to make a red dark. So I take red as well as Payne's gray or neutral gray kind of color. And then again do the same thing on top of the C mark you had given earlier. Same kind of C marks you have to give, but on top of the earlier one. Thin line, pressure, and then thin line. Thin line, pressure, and then thin line. Thin line, pressure, and then thin line. Thin line, pressure, and then thin line, like this. Thin line, pressure, and then thin line. Thin line, pressure, and then thin line. Same thing we have to give, thin line, pressure, and thin line. This you have to remember. Okay, then I am making it further dark, taking this black as well as alizarin crimson. Don't forget to take alizarin crimson, otherwise your dark color will make your color very dull. Again, in this center should be more dark, because because petals are very closely bound with each other. That's why. Thin line, pressure, and thin line. Thin line, pressure, and thin line on top of the same thing, huh? So what is actually happening, the first C strokes which I have given, at that time my paper was more wet. Okay, so that time those colors spread more with the background, but with the time the paper will keep on getting dry. Okay, so it will reduce spreading as compared to the earlier strokes. So that way we are actually creating color gradient. Fine. And then like you need to give some background to it. So you can give background. So for giving background, what will I do? Let me keep some paper here. Okay, and for the background, what I'm doing, I'm simply wetting this area, this darker area. So one mark, so you should have maintained that shape. Right, now I'm taking some dark color. Maybe I'll take some Payne's gray. It's a good dark color. If you want to make dark color, you should use it. Okay, now one line here, one line here. So you should start with the darker area. So just below the flower, it will always be more dark because of the shadow of the flower. Okay, and then you can simply lift it and you can spread it like this towards the downward side. And here towards this side, you can give some light color. Okay, and then what you can do is, then like you have few sides here. So what I can do, I can give just Y marks like this and like this. Here also I can do the same thing, just cut, I can give some cut. I can give some cut here also. In the corners it should be always dark. Okay, so this way we can make a basic shape to your flower. Now in all my flowers I use angular brush. Okay, so I have to tell you how to use angular brushes. So to use angular brush, what you're supposed to do, you have to use angular brush. So I'm using this 1/4. Okay, and then like what you have supposed to do, you just take some color. I'm taking this red color. Okay, and mix it well. The thing is that whenever you use angular brush, you should mix your pigment properly on the palette. First of all, always pick color from the tip, so that you should not pick lots of color. You should pick only 2 to 3 drops of water, so that your brush can move smoothly on the paper. And once you load your brush from both the end, then what will you do? Then you simply hold your brush like this. You are supposed to hold it 90 degree, but I am just holding it like this so that you can see my strokes. Thin line and then drag. Okay, so this dragging should be like, it should be like vanishing line. Vanishing line means you must have heard about the vanishing lines during your school days or something like this. That means when you start your line, the pressure is maximum. When you go outward, your pressure reduce. So again, I'm showing you this thin line and then dragging. So you need to reduce the pressure. You can see here, I'm showing it on the dry paper so that you can see the dry brush strokes, because this is because of the reduced pressure on my brush. So now and one more important thing to note here, this point should be at the starting point. Okay, so this point should be at the starting point. You have to draw a line first, thin line, and then drag it. So I'm not changing the direction of my brush, I'm just moving. The same brush is like this only. I'm not changing the angle of my brush like this. I'm holding it tight and then thin line and then just dragging it like this. Okay, same thing you have to practice in all the direction. Like you should practice it here, like thin line and then dragging. Okay, this I've already shown you. Then again, if suppose towards lower side, you have to do thin line and then dragging. Then suppose the same strokes you have to give towards this side, then you need to turn your brush. Okay, again this should be at the starting point. Then again thin line and dragging, thin line and dragging. Okay, so these are your angular brush strokes. Now again, some few more strokes you need to practice here, like the way we have we do calligraphy like this. Like this type of practice you should give. It means that you should have that control on your brush. Then a few things that the pressure is very important. Sometimes we need to make use of this whole width of my brush. Then what we do, you just apply pressure and drag it like this. We do like this whenever we have to give the broad marks. Then we just hold our brush and with the pressure we drag it. Okay, and then suppose sometime we need to give very, very thin lines, then that time you can make use of this type of lines, or very thin line also, like a line only. Then one more thing, sometime we need to take out the corners. So corners we take out like this, just apply the pressure and drag it. So this type of shape also sometime we need to take out. All these are trick of calligraphy. So now how do we do in our flower? So I'll just show you, because we have to do all these things but on a wet paper. So for that thing I'm going to wet my paper first of all. So I'm using my sprinkler and let me wet this area, and let me simply rub it properly so that your paper should be damp. Okay, it should not have too much of water on your on surface. It should be the paper should absorb the water. Now I'm taking this red color. Okay, it should have at least, if you see the consistency of my this color, it should have 2 to 3 drops of water, so that my brush should move smoothly, else it is not very dilute. And then like you need to draw a line and then drag it. You can see here the line which I have given is quite defined. It is not that uncontrolled. Now suppose if you would have given too much of water, there are too much of water on your surface, then what will happen? Then the moment you will give this thin line, you can see this line, it is actually diluting, it is flowing with the water. So it should not have too much of water on the surface also. It should be only damp. Okay. Now again I am doing thin line and then dragging. Then again I am making a petal kind of thing. Okay, thin line dragging, thin line dragging, thin line dragging, thin line dragging. Fine. Now I am making it dark by adding some Algerian crimson. I'm using this Algerian crimson. Okay, again I'll do the same thing, and you can use some tissue paper with you so that you can control the intensity of water and intensity of colors also. So I'm keeping a tissue paper, you can dab on it so that I can control it, and then thin line and drag, thin line and drag, thin line and drag, thin line and drag. So first time I drag till here, second time I'm dragging only till here. I'm adding some black color. This is not black, this is Payne's gray color which I'm adding. Okay. Now again, see, you can see here, this is still merging. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Thin line dragging, thin line dragging, thin line dragging, thin line dragging. So this way, you can create that color gradient. This is one thing. Now I'll show you how to give other effects. I'm simply rubbing it on paper well so that it should not smudge too much. Now you should practice for few things, like now suppose there is one petal, okay, and I have to give in a corner like this. I have given some tone. Then in that petal, what I am supposed to do, I need to clean my brush then, okay, and then I need to give this type of smudging. Okay, and then like if I want to darken this area again, I can do that on top of that again, like this. So while giving, first give some color here, clean your brush and then do the dragging, then only you will receive that gradation. Okay, secondly, then you need to do practice this type of stroke also, the same thing which you have done, just round, some rotation, some turning of your brush, some turning of brush, like this. Like this. So these are the few practices which you can do. Okay, then like suppose I'll show you a few things now. Now suppose there is one petal here. And with some, suppose some petal here, so what will happen, this area will have some shadow of your upper petals. Now suppose this is one petal. Okay, and this is the area where the shadow of the upper petal is there. So you need to do what, you need to simply cover this whole area by assuming that this whole part is under shadow, and then you can pick more dark color, and then whatever stroke you will give here, now that will be of darker color, like this. Okay, now I can make more number of petals like this. So these are the few practice which you should do with the help of angular brush.